the Football Terrace. It is official. It is confirmed. Brazilian international ex-Chelsea star Willian has signed a 3-year deal at Arsenal Football Club for a massive £11.4 million per year. £220,000 per week if we want to break it down in working class terms. But it's £11.4 million per year. They will pay nigh on £35 million plus the image rights, plus the bonuses. You are looking at a deal that will cost Arsenal around £50 million circular over the course of the next 3 years. Arsenal fans, we want to hear from you live on the air right now about this deal. He is an Arsenal player. It is official. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling. And big announcement coming up on the Football Terrace as well. Man like Jan will be joining us for an exclusive interview next week. Big movements on the Football Terrace. Members will see that interview first. It will be released first, exclusively talking about Jadon Sancho, about Kai Havertz and other massive Premier League transfers. So make sure you're signed up as a member. You will get that a full 24 hours before everybody else. Do me a big favor, as I say, hit that like and share button. £220,000 per week is the reported salary of Willian, who has just joined Arsenal. I want to hear from Gooners right about now. Skype lines are open. So if you call us via Skype, all you need to do is search Football Terrace on Skype. You'll see our logo. Give us a bell right now. We want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking and feeling about that. Also, make sure you sign up to Flick. Flick is available right now. It's free of charge. The best football community in the world. Better than Twitter. Better than all the other socials. It's a private place for all football fans to sit and converse and discuss football. That is open and available right now. You can download the app. It's amazing. And just to let you know, I'm currently sitting fourth in the rankings at the moment on the score predictors. So really looking forward to that. Arsenal fan 101 is currently top. We've got Benjamin Thompson that's now calling the show. He just hung up. Call back, Benjamin. We'll get you on the air. Leonardo, thank you very much for signing up as a member. But Gooners, we want to hear from you now. Willian is an Arsenal player. It is official. £222,000 per week. I've got a comment here on social that says, not bad for a free transfer. It's not my money as well. Never feel the clubs going to spend it. And I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing you're spending that much money at all. But other people might have a difference of opinion. I've said this all along about Willian. I think he's a solid player. I think he's a quality player. I think he'll bring some good experience to Arsenal. I think he'll do well. I think he'll do really well at Arsenal. I really do. I really do. Benjamin, welcome to the show. What do you want to say?
You know about the Willian deal?
Yes.
So I've changed my mind from the other week. I think it's actually a decent signing for Arsenal.
Explain to us why you've changed your mind.
I've been watching his skills, his goals, his free kicks and stuff on YouTube. They actually look pretty good, to be honest.
I would suggest watch more than YouTube. I would suggest watch Chelsea games that he's played in. I think he's influential. I think he works hard. I think he can be creative. Yeah, there are games that I've seen him play where he's been lambasted by Chelsea fans, but the man's been the most creative spark on the pitch. I wouldn't say he's always the most aesthetically pleasing, so maybe people don't notice it as much. But I think Arsenal might be slightly overpaying in terms of wages. I think let me rephrase. I don't think it's too expensive to pay a player of his quality £220,000 per week. I think maybe a 3-year deal is a little too much, but at the end of the day, if Arsenal think if Arsenal get out of this what they want, then if he performs, if he scores, if he creates, then I think it's going to be a decent deal. I think it will be.
Where do you think he will play? Number 10, right wing?
Oh, I think you might see him play in a number of positions. I think you might see him play across that front line. I think he's coming in. Look, Pepe has got to be the Pepe has got to be the sort of standout player on that right-hand side. But I think Willian will come in and cover a variety of those positions, I think and feel. There we go.
I feel like he's going to play number 10 because, of the Ozil situation.
He could do. I mean, you don't have one thing that Arsenal don't have is a quality number 10. But what I'm interested to see around a number 10 playing is what that does to your structure. You look really good playing with that sort of 3 centre backs, and then you have 2 midfielders and your fullbacks, so kind of a 4-man midfield, and then you would have the sort of 3 attacking players. So it was a 3-4-3, worked so well for Arsenal in the closing stages of the season. Wouldn't it be interesting? It'd be interesting to see how you then cope with the number 10. It means you're going to play with a back 4. That would suggest to me. Will that work? It depends who you sign. It depends how good Saliba is. If you get where I'm coming from, because I think that the reason you went to the 3 at the back, a 4-man midfield, your wide attacking players would almost come into the midfield areas to make things a little bit more. I just realized my son's been sick on my t-shirt. That live on the air. So I think it'll be interesting. You did that to bolster the midfield and central areas to protect yourself because there is a soft centre at Arsenal. But I think if you can land Thomas Partey, if Saliba comes in and does a good job, I think your prediction could be right. We've added Ches to the line here. Ches, welcome back to the Football Terrace. What do you want to say, buddy?
How you been, Terra?
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't know. I'm good. I think, obviously, as a Chelsea fan, I've seen a lot of narratives that he rejected Chelsea to go Arsenal. It's really not the case. It's as simple as Chelsea don't offer 3-year contracts to players a certain age. And obviously, he wanted to stay, even if he's on lower wages now at Arsenal than he would be at Chelsea. So it wasn't really about the team per se. It was literally about the years. So I don't think Arsenal should be getting gas. Not trying to be rude. I kind of be that guy in the party. But it's not that big. It's not like deep of a signing. It's not like he's like gone out of his way to go Arsenal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, listen, there's no banter in this at all. At all for Chelsea fans. Like, there's none. He wanted to stay at Chelsea. You just don't offer players of that age 3-year deals. Arsenal have made him.
Do you think that was a good decision by us? Not a good decision by us. Do you think it's a good decision by Willian? Do you think he should have stayed here and seen what we could develop with our team?
It depends. You see, what we don't always know is the player's individual situation. I would say I think 90% of football players come from working class backgrounds from a national and international basis. You'll probably find that Willian is supporting a number of charities. You'll find that Willian is supporting his immediate and his extended family somewhat. And some of these football players that I've come across and dealt with in the financial spectrum are supporting, if you look at it as individual family units, 5-6 different families, brothers, families, sisters, families, parents-in-law, in terms of financially supporting everybody, buying people houses, paying school fees, paying medical fees, whatever it may be. So from Willian's point of view, if he can secure nearly £50 million, because we have to include the bonuses that he'll get at Arsenal. The base salary is £220,000 per week. What I do love about this is I love how, like, Arsenal fans for years have pushed the notion of the fake salaries that Alexis Sanchez was on, 500, 600 grand a week. But when they see one of their players is being paid what most people think is extortion, they go, no, it must be much cheaper, 100 grand. But what the majority of credible journalists are reporting around as the base is 220. The point I'm making is he's going to earn between 30.
Is that what Willian's on? 220?
£220,000 a week, 11.4 million pound a year base salary. But that doesn't include image rights. It doesn't include bonuses, as an example. So you're looking at
that's a lot.
It is a lot, and that's the point I'm making. So when you say Willian made the right decision, Willian, including image rights and bonuses and base salary, will earn somewhere in the region of £50 million, of course, minusing tax. That's for 3 years. So if Willian is supporting charities, if he's supporting his family and extended family, he's got a lot of outgoings. From his point of view, he may think, look, I can go to Arsenal, maybe pick up some domestic trophies there, maybe do something in the Europa League at some point, but earn that money from I've won league titles, I've won Euro. He's won almost everything in the game. Does that make sense? There's almost an element where I think he's probably making the right decision for himself and his family to earn that money to stay in the Premier League. The risk for Arsenal is if over the next 18 months there's a decline in that player because of age. If in 18 months if you've got the likes of Willock and Nelson outperforming him, outscoring him, pushing him, Arsenal could find themselves in another Ozil situation with a player hemorrhaging money from the club, doing very little for them or nothing for them on the pitch. And that's the only worry when you give a player of that age that contract. However, you know, I think this deal right now suits the majority of parties. I know in their heart of hearts, some Arsenal fans are worried about I don't think they're worried about the salary of £11.4 million per year. It's the 3-year deal. I think, again, Willian might not have signed it.
Yeah,
I think a 2-year deal with a 1-year extension that gives Arsenal the power to say, we don't want you anymore would have been right, especially when they've made those 50, from a PR point of view, when you've made 55 people redundant who are on a fraction. I think 2 months salary for Willian could have covered those people's jobs for a few years. I think then that's when you might have some problems. But who knows? You know, if he goes to Arsenal and he balls for 2 or 3 years, nobody's going to complain about how much he's earning. It'll be money well spent. And the one thing I do think Chelsea have lost a good player, though. I've never slagged Willian off. I've always defended him. I think he's been a bit of a scapegoat for Chelsea fans, and Arsenal have certainly picked up a decent player.
Yeah, because that's a good point. Because now, as we've lost Willian, we'll need another winger to replace him. And the thing is, again, another winger, they're not going to have the experience that Willian's had. So it's a case of, what's the chances of us now getting a winger with experience who's played in the Prem? I can't think of many that are available right now. So that's the only issue we've got.
Yeah, no, I think from Chelsea's point of view, that's a fair one. I think there is that element. You know, if Ziyech comes in and it doesn't work, as an example, and if Kai Havertz comes in and takes time to settle, if Hudson-Odoi doesn't
work, yeah, it takes time to settle.
I get that, and that's the one element. But sometimes these things work this way. I also feel that there's no way you can sign Ziyech and Kai Havertz and Werner and keep and have kept. When you look at Pedro, Willian, Hudson-Odoi, I always felt two of the three had to go with the volumes of signings that were coming in, because in an ideal world, 2 or 3 of them are going to get very little to no game time. So, you know, if Willian had stayed, do you get what I mean? Sometimes you've got to stick or twist.
Point as well. That's a good point. Is that now because Willian's out the door, it now gives Hudson-Odoi a free reign. Now it's a case of like he will now himself into that first team. There is an intermediary. Even if you sign another player like Ben Harama.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at the FA Cup final, Willian missed out probably because they knew that he was joining Arsenal now. With hindsight, Pulisic goes off. So then Hudson-Odoi doesn't start. Pulisic goes off injured. Hudson-Odoi isn't brought on. That is, for me, that is fairly ominous of the season that Hudson-Odoi has ended up having. Next year is the year for Hudson-Odoi. Yes, there's Ziyech coming in, and yes, Havertz is going to be there, but there's no Willian, no Pedro. I think he's second fiddle to those boys, because you've gone and spent big money on them and they're superstar players. He will get opportunities though. If there is an injury to a wide player, he's the next guy in, as an example. If for whatever reason, let's just say 2-3 games in, Ziyech gets an injury and he's going to miss a few games, and it isn't Hudson-Odoi that comes into that team, for me, he's dead at the club. And I don't even mean it in a rude way. Like, he has to now be picked. He's second fiddle still, but he has to be picked. And it's going to be an interesting time. We've added Ram to the call. Thank you, Ches, for coming on, mate. I appreciate that. Ram, what do you want to say, mate?
Yeah, I just want to say that Arsenal made a decent signing. I think his experience in winning trophies is something, major trophies at the Premier League is something that may have been needed at the club. But again, I have to reiterate the money that he's earning at the time. Yeah, as like you said, if he doesn't perform to the levels that we expect him to play at, it'll just be another very toxic signing that they're just hemorrhaging money out of the club, which is something that they don't need at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I think it will be a good signing. I feel like. I sort of feel like there's an element of, the only concern is the 3-year deal for me. Again, and that's coming from a standpoint of most players start to decline around 32 to 33. That tends to be where you start to see you look at Steven Gerrard, Liverpool's greatest ever Premier League player. I feel like he hit 32 and shadow.
It's
an
the
absolute
injuries caught up with him.
Yeah,
It
but
was like,
that's and age and injuries they definitely caught up. You know, he's in fact he's just turned 32. So you got to think, you know, this time next year he's 33. Following season he's 34. You know, so as he goes into his final season, he's going to be 34 years of age, earning £220,000 per week, £11.4 million per year. That's a huge amount of money. And I think if you look at it statistically, he has maintained. So, you know, 11 goals this year, 8 the last. But I think when you're spending that much money on somebody, Arsenal are going to want between 5 to 10 Premier League goals from him. They're going to want goals in the Europa League. They're going to want, from an outputs point of view, 10 to 15 assists and decent performances from the lad. And I think that's where the pressure will come on top. If he's coming in and dropping disaster classes, you know what will happen. And I'm not saying he will, but you know as well as I do with Arsenal fans, it will be out the blocks, straight onto socials. Why have we paid this guy so much money? Terrible signing. We tried to do it on the cheap. Rah, 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 rah. Especially if they don't pick up signings like Thomas Partey. Especially if they don't pick up players like him.
Terry, I've got a question. Do you think this signing might be the end for Alexandre Lacazette as an Arsenal player?
It could be.
If he plays on the left, then Aubameyang will play in the middle, and Lacazette will be a bit part player.
Or as the last Arsenal, Benjamin said when he came on, if he plays number 10, because I don't think you're going to play a number 10 and then have a very rare. Again, maybe my knowledge isn't good enough, but you often don't get a number 10 playing when you also have a kind of. Because Lacazette's role has changed at Arsenal since Arteta has been in. He's become a target man. His hold-up play has been excellent. I cannot deny that. His hold-up play has been brilliant. You know, he hasn't been in. But if you have a number 10, do you use a target man in the same way? I don't know. You know, yeah, I don't think you do. You know, and if you bolster your midfield so that you can have a number, you can't have a number 10 play with the current Arsenal central midfield because it's too weak. It gets overrun. Yeah. So. That maybe they need to sell Lacazette to fund the Thomas Partey deal. If Lacazette goes, Thomas Partey comes in, you can play Willian as a number 10, or you can play him as a wide man. You can move Aubameyang central. Saka can start to take up that role more on the left-hand side. And it's a really good signing. And as long as there isn't a physical decline in Willian over the next 2 to 3 years, it doesn't matter that he's earning £11 million per year, as long as he's performing. But by the way, I thought he was excellent for Chelsea. The last 2, 3, 4 years, I think Chelsea fans have scapegoated him. I'm just trying to sit here and play balance on this. I think it's a good signing. I think potentially the contract is a little bit too long. But for it to work as a signing, we have to see what else is done by Arsenal. We've added Jordan to the call. Jordan, what do you want to say? 1 sec, Ram. Jordan, we've added you to the call. What do you want to say, mate?
Yeah, Terry, it's me, number 13. I just wanted to say Arsenal got the Willie. What are these guys doing? Signing 33-year-olds, paying them 150 grand, 200 grand a week. I mean, they say we want to win the league. They say we want to get to the top. I mean, you can't get to the top by signing other clubs' fifth, fourth choices. Like, he's 33, 150 grand, possibly up to 250 grand. That's just like, what are they doing? It's just banter club. FC back again.
Actually, this is what I was going to say. I was going to tell you, Terry, that Willian's the kind of player that has a lot of pace but doesn't use it because he doesn't need to use it because his technical ability is just
because he's
incredible.
Lost it. It's because he's lost it.
He's still a very quick player, but he just doesn't use it. He don't need.
Look, watch. He's even going to decline even more. Like, Arsenal is such a stupid sign, and plus Arsenal say we don't have money. Like, this is a signing that you'd make on deadline day when you ran out of the options. You know what I mean? Like, deadline day emergency, you get him in, but you don't get him in as the main target. You go for younger players. What are they doing? They don't even have money, and they're going for Willian, 33-year-old, as their main target. Banter club. Nah, that's just banter, man.
To be fair, he hasn't been declining yet. I'd say that because obviously the stats this season, if you looked at them, I'm a Chelsea fan saying that as well, so I could be bitter. Yeah, also, I do agree with you to a point that
as well. You don't
I agree. I don't think they should be going for Willian. I think it's a very short-term viewed kind of signing, which is typical of Arsenal. And then you'll get fans on socials being like, look what like, I'm seeing quotes already about what he said in the interview, and they're twisting and making it sound like he's rejected us to join a project. No.
Well, that's and do you know what, bro, Ches? That's the one area where, again, I always look at the behavior of people. Like I've said, if Man United drop £150 million bid today for Sancho, I will easily concede that we've lost the negotiation battle, but I'll be buzzing that we've got the player. I won't try and spin it to make it look double good. Use a Cockney expression, double good. And I feel like that's the one thing I'd say about Arsenal fans with this deal. If you're happy that Willian has joined on a 3-year deal, just be happy that Willian has joined on a 3-year deal. It shouldn't matter to you. We know how much he's earning. This information that around his salary has come in from some fairly credible sources around the salary side of things. And I'll go into that on another day. But the point being is this whole he rejected Chelsea for us. He'd rather play for Arsenal than Chelsea. Trying to talk. I mean, I've seen some people say he's getting paid as little as 80 grand a week. I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, why are you trying to finesse the deal to make it sound better than it is? It's either a good signing or it's not. I get really worried about. Do you get where I'm coming from? I'm sort of like, I don't care how. You've heard me say, I don't care how much Maguire cost us, because Maguire has come in and he's improved our defense dramatically. So I don't care that maybe we paid 10, 15, 20 million pound too much, because I feel like he has done the job that we needed him to go there and do.
And that's the thing. I'll always keep it real with everyone. If you said something like that and you contradict yourself, I would say the thing is, you always judge signings after the facts. You can't say beforehand it's a great move and all this until the player actually plays on the pitch.
Of course, and I used to do that. Sorry, Chair, I used to do that all the time. My mantra was, "Oh, that's a good sign." You can say what looks good on paper, but let's see, on a real level, let's see what happens. If he has a disastrous Arsenal career and they've hemorrhaged all this money, trust me, Arsenal fans will be the first to let us know. But if he goes in and does a really good job, if he helps get Arsenal back to where they need to be, I don't even think he's going to Arsenal for cover. You don't pay, do you know what? Whether he's on 100 grand a week or 220 a week, you don't spend that much money on a player to say you're here to back up. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. He is going to Arsenal to be a first teamer.
This is Arsenal, Jared. This is Arsenal. They have a 350 grand player sitting on reserves every week. Doesn't even play. This is Arsenal.
Okay. So on that, bro, again, context is required. Did Mikel Arteta sanction 350 grand a week for Ozil, or was it Arsene Wenger?
But who
answer my question. Who did it?
The board. So maybe
Arsene Wenger was the man. Yes, but Gazidis was there. But under the leadership,
I've got a point now.
Under the leadership of Arsene Wenger. So one sec, guys. So just 1 second. Let me just finish my point. Let me finish my point, and we'll move on. There's nothing that Unai Emery, Ljungberg when he was a temporary manager, or Arteta can do about Ozil's deal. They were not in charge. They had no say in what's going on. Equally, the club cannot force Ozil to leave. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Yes, Arsenal have done bad business in the past, but what we can't do, even if we're rivals and we want to banter, what we can't do is have a pop at Mikel Arteta's team selections based on what other managers have paid players in the past. It's going to take him 2 or 3 years to clear that out. The fact that certain players were given new deals in January 2018, like the Phil Joneses and the Ashley Youngs at Man United, is not a reflection of Ollie's leadership. He'd only been in the club 3 weeks as a temporary interim manager. You think he had a say in who got a new deal? Of course not. You judge managers by what they do. Simple as that for me. Ches, you had a point you were going to make. Go on, mate.
I was going to say was, the Earl situation, it's not their fault at all, but I was thinking, aren't they able to buy out his contract to get the toxic vibe out the club in terms of his wages?
It would be so much money though.
But the long-term game would be more than the short-term.
Yeah, but they can try these things. I think they have, but
I was wondering.
Well, they can, but it depends on. So this is what Ozil would. This is what I would do in Ozil's position. Pay me the whole thing as a lump sum. That means Arsenal have got to stump up around 18 to 19 million pound in a cash well, obviously sort of 8 million pounds of that would go in tax almost instantly, but they've got to pay that money instant. That's what they would do. They would say, no, I want it up front. That's what he would ask for, because from his point of view, nowhere else is offering him that kind of salary anymore.
Yeah, he's comfy. Why would he want to leave?
Of course. And
he made an interview yesterday. He was like, yeah, I'll stay. The team needs me. I'll be there. But he didn't say it. But of course, if they don't need him,
so I don't. If they came to him, if they could find a club for him where he was still going to get paid the same, I don't think Arsenal have made him any offer like that, because I think if he was offered his salary in cash now to leave, I think he'd take it. If he was offered a decent club to go to on loan but still earn the same amount of money, I think he would take it. I don't think this is a player that wants to be in the stands, but equally, he's not prepared to lose 100, 200,000 pound a week. Look at we said this about Willian. Look at the charity work that Ozil does. Ozil needs his income. Ozil supports charities every year with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds. He supports multiple layers of his family. Why should he give that money up? Arsenal paid it to him. They thought it was worth it. It's down to them now to have to stump that up. For me, if I'm in his situation, I'm doing exactly the same thing. We've got a few super chats to do here, boys. One says, I find it interesting that Arteta said that from a mental aspect that Willian fits his philosophy, someone who will take responsibility. Absolutely right. Also, I've got this little feeling, boys, that Arteta's going to be more of a Diego Simeone, Jose style manager than he is a Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp. I just got this little feeling inside that you're going to see a bit more of, especially in big games, more of a pragmatic manager, more of a George Graham than anything else. And Willian is certainly excellent in pragmatic teams. That cannot be denied, I think. Another comment here from O'Malley, who says, why did Chelsea fans forget they bought Giroud at 31 when Arsenal thought he was a waste? Giroud helped keep Chelsea in the top 4. Cheers. What's your thoughts on that comment?
What he said about, what did he say again?
He said that you guys signed Giroud at 31 and he's helped you, so couldn't it not work the other way, essentially?
Again, I personally haven't said Willian won't do well. I never said it was a bad move. I just said the only thing that was the stumbling block was the years. And again, getting Giroud at 31 years old or an experienced player of his age is not a bad signing if you can make it work. And in hindsight, for us, it's worked in tenfold. So again, if Willian works for them, it's the same thing. We'll sit here in 3 years' time like, well, great signing. Or we won't do. So time will tell.
And Chelsea signed Giroud as a second choice. They didn't try to sign him as a first choice.
Exactly. So again, like it worked out perfectly for us, to be fair.
Terry, would you consider that with Willian going to Arsenal, that Saka it will be a beneficial for Saka because there will be less reliance on him as a left winger,
yes,
as a young boy?
Yeah, of course. Gary Neville said this at the beginning of the season about Manchester United, but the point echoes and ripples across all football teams. It's okay to have Trents. And it's okay to have Greenwoods. It's okay to have Sakas, who are wonder kids who right now can make genuine impacts week in, week out for their teams. But it, for me, is exceedingly irresponsible of a football club to put what almost can become a poison chalice around their necks and say, you have to be the main man for us. If you look at all great teams where young players have come through, if you look at the United class of 92 when they were coming through, if you look at Barca's sort of Xavi, Iniesta's, Busquets, Messi's when they were coming through, look at the sheer quality, experience and brilliance that was shrouded around the football club. And that, for me, it's important for the Sakas of this world to have players like Willian that have been there, done it, and worn the T-shirts that can help him through difficult moments. That where, there was a few games towards the end of the season where you thought, oh, why is Saka not playing? Because actually playing young players, playing 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds game in, game out can also be very dangerous to their long-term careers, because especially with the intensity that is it within Premier League football. So I think your point is very well made, that the Arsenal, Man United, all these clubs need to ensure their youngsters have a support around them. I've seen people say with United, we don't need Sancho, we've got Greenwood. Bro, I don't want Greenwood playing 38 Premier League games next year and 50 games in all competitions. I don't want that. I want him, again, to be used sparingly at times next year as he develops, as he grows physically into his body, and as he finds his feet. Do I want him to play in some of the big games? Yes. Do I want him to be tested? Absolutely. But I think we need to have this element of let's just slow down with these young players in terms of making them play 50, 60 games a season so young, because we've seen how with some, they're not all going to be Ronaldo and Messi that are still killing it in their early mid-30s. A lot of them could end up turning into Wayne Rooney's, or even worse than that, Michael Owens, or even worse than that, Theo Walcott's, that would just play too regularly at too young an age, and it ended up damaging their bodies. And I think we need to be very, very mindful of that. I really, really do. Listen, everyone who's tuning in, please smash that like button for us right now. Please download Flick, an amazing footballing community available via their exclusive app. There's my page on there and other people's. Get that done. Boys, I appreciate you all coming on, having your say. We'll chat to you all again very, very soon. Let's do a few more of these live comments before we end this stream today. Remember, next week, we have available on the channel, we will have Man Like Jan, one of the leading transfer experts in world football, on the show. That interview will be exclusive on day one to members only, and then will be pushed across to the wider audience. We'll be talking Sancho, Kai Havertz, Thiago, Thomas Partey, and other massive European signings that could be finding their way into the Premier League. So if you want to get a first glimpse at that before anybody else in the world, make sure you sign up now to become a member and keep smashing that like button, because when you do that, it supports this channel massively. It really, really does. And let me just end this stream by reiterating this. Yes, the salary is around 11.4 million pounds a year for Willian. I do think the deal is excessive at 3 years. The salary, I got no issue with it. Paying what you want, your prerogative. One thing I will push back on is that this player is finished. I don't believe at this moment, at this time, it's a bad signing for Arsenal. I think Willian has been given a rough ride by Chelsea fans for 2 or 3 years. I think he was the scapegoat whenever Hazard dropped a disaster class. It was always put on Willian. Willian was always the bad guy. Willian was always the letdown. Willian was always the one who bared the brunt. And I think that was a deflection tactic to get attention away from the Zard. I think Arsenal fans are going to love, and I think they're going to endear to Willian, and you may see an acceleration. You may see an extension of his career based on that love. You know, you can perform better when you're positive, when you've got a positive mindset, when you're in a good space, when you're being backed. I think he'll be a good signing for Arsenal. I think it's a clever piece of business. There's no doubt about that in my mind, but we can only judge this after the fact. You know, this is a hindsight matter. Let's wait and see at the end of next season. There was a lot of hype around Pepe, that Pepe was going to be a bad boy signing, that Ceballos was going to be a bad boy signing, and they were okay. So let's wait and see. Proof's in the pudding. Let's keep our powder dry somewhat. But until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves. God bless. Please smash that like button, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.